Hi guys, welcome back to the video, and this is the fifth video, and in this video I'm gonna start by exploring all tools in more depth, single tool one by one, which would make a complete series, one tool, one video. So let's first of all talk about this tool called the selection tool, and obviously as the name suggests, it is used to select the things. But before we can select anything, we need to have something drawn over here that we can select. And for that, I will only use two tools, either the pen tool. By point and clicking, I can draw shapes, or I can draw these shapes, rectangle. I press the little corner here. I can make the rectangle, the rounded rectangle, ellipse, and all sorts of tools. And I will use only these, and then we will use the selection tool to do whatever we want to. So the first thing that I'm going to do is draw this rectangle. And now I will select the selection tool. When I select the selection tool, obviously its first purpose is obviously to select. So I can select it and move it. I'll change the color so that we can see more clearly. These are the recent colors. So I'll choose this color. A bit too much. Let's choose this green. So I can select, and I can see these boundaries, these small boxes on the corners. This helps me to make it big and small. I can move it, and if I come here, it changes, and with this I can rotate it. Simple as that. The next thing I can do is make it small from these sides or even from a corner. And when I select these little round circles, I can make it rounded. If I double click on these circles, I can see more options here, which are the transform options. So this is the first basic thing that we can do, is move it and resize it and also rotate it. Apart from that, when we select anything, we can access the properties with the same selection tool and make changes here. We can see the transform setting, which basically means this making small or big. We can see the values are changing. This is the width, this is the height, and this is the X and the Y coordinates. And here we have the angles if we choose, or if I bring it to 0 and I click here and press the up arrow key, we can see we can rotate it accurately according to the degrees that we want. So I'll make it 0 once again, and it's here. With that, we also have the appearance, the stroke. We can increase it, decrease it, make the stroke thick or fine. We also get the opacity with which we can see how light or transparent we can make it, or make it 100% opaque the original way. And then we have the alignments. If we don't have any other object on the board, we can align it to the center or according to the artboard. This is the horizontal align center, this is the vertical, this is to the corners, and all the other settings that we can get access by using the selection tool. Apart from that, we can also go into the layers and see what's there in the layers. Although we don't need to be on the selection tool to access layers. For example, if I have pen tool and I come to layers, I will still be able to access. As you can see, this is the normal arrow that we see on the desktop, but when we come here, it changes, which corresponds to the fact that we do not need to be specially on the selection tool to do it, but we usually keep the selection tool highlighted when we are trying to access all these things. Apart from that, if we double click on the selection tool, we can see we also get this menu, which gives us the position on the horizontal and the vertical, and the distance from the center, and the angle by which we can rotate. So if I bring the distance to 0 and press tab, which will give us the preview, we see it has come to the center. And if I click here on the horizontal, we can move it along the horizontal by going up and down, and the values, which also changes the distance from the center. Similarly, we can, if I bring it to 0 back again, press tab, and now increase this value or decrease this value, it will move up and down on the vertical axis. And similarly, if I again make it 0 and change the angle here, it will not do anything because at the moment the horizontal and the vertical distance is also 0. So if I make it, let's say 20, it moves to the right 20 pixels. I add 25 here, it moves down, and this is the distance. And now you can see the angle. If I keep on increasing it, it begins to rotate along the center like a bicycle. 360 is complete, you can make it 0. So these are the things that you can also do with the move tool. So you can make adjustment pixel by pixel or even in fractions. I'll press cancel so it comes back to the original position. So these are some of the things that we can absolutely do with the artboard. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a simple example and then use these minimum shapes, which are basically a rectangle, a circle, and if I press the polygon tool, I'll bring it down to 3, and this will give us a triangle. So we will use these 3 shapes to make something very basic. But there is one last thing that I want to talk about, which I almost skipped, and that is the use of the additional keys to make adjustments to this shapes we have selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this, I'm going to hold shift, and if I press shift first and then hold and move it, as you can see, it now moves proportionately. And if I hold alt and now move it, as you can see, it's not moving proportionately, but it is resizing to the center of the object that I have selected. And it's only when I press shift plus alt, it begins to resize along the center in a proportionate manner. And it goes to for any shape. I take this here, I press shift, proportionate growth. I also press alt, proportionate growth along the center. Same as here. If I delete this and press L, which is the shortcut for ellipse, I hold shift and now draw, we get a circle. I come back here and bring it up. As you can see, it's a perfect circle since we drew it proportionately. I hold shift and alt and now we can move it up and down. So these are some of the things that we can do. Otherwise, we can also draw ellipses of any shape or style we want if we don't hold the shift. If we hold shift, it changes into a circle. So now we'll try to use these simple techniques and make something very simple by looking at an image and make something out of this with the simple shapes. So I'm gonna use this as a reference, and using just circles and triangles and all the shapes that we just used will make this cute looking duck. It's not about if we can make it accurately, it's simply about exercising the things that we used. So I'll keep it here and I will lock this image so that it does not move. So we have the circle over here. I'll bring the circle tool, just the ellipse tool, press L, hold shift and alt, which will make it proportionately from the center. And now to go back to the selection tool, I can press here, or we can use the shortcut V as well. So I'll press this here. This is like a triangle. We can draw a triangle or use the pen tool and make it something like this and change its color, make it the orange the way it is. It's not about accuracy, it's just about trying the things. And now we go back to V and we can also rotate it and move it down like this. For the neck, this is like a box but a little narrow on the top. So I will again take the pen tool and draw this neck shape and make it this random yellow like this. Now we have this body. This is like an ellipse or rounded here, but flat on the top. So I will take this and make it rounded here, and with the selection tool V, I will push it up, make the shape here, and again take the ellipse tool, make this bottom, press V and move it something like this here, and again take the pen tool, come here and make this random shape, again press V, kind of place it here, and then again take the rectangle tool by pressing M or selecting from the menu and pressing this, and again take the ellipse tool and draw this upper part like this. Press V for selection tool, move it a little bit bottom here, and this gives us the rough. To select everything, I can press left click and hold over it. This helps you select everything, and now you can group it. And this also brings in a very important thing, that when you select anything using the selection tool, there's so many options when we press right click. So there is the option to unlock the image that is below. We can cut, copy, paste and change the direction. We can undo the move, make it pixel perfect, and right now we want to group it. We can also join them, average, simplify, so much stuff here. So I'll just simply group it, and this gives us this random shape. And let's see if I again select it and say I have grouped them. So that's it. We can make it smooth or simplify or whatever it is. Oh, nice. So we can also make it look smoother. The curves have become a lot more smoother. So there is so much that you can do, but this gives us the basic understanding of what we can do with the selection tool, which is about basically selecting any object, scaling them or rotating them, or drawing shapes and combining them, using it to access the properties and all sorts of such things that we can do by using the selection tool. Thank you so much. In the next tutorial, we'll talk about the direct selection tool. Thank you. Bye-bye.